Hi there, it's Vicky here from Marketing Made Social, and welcome back to the podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be getting a bit tough with you, giving you some tough love, and talking about what's actually stopping your marketing and, in particular, your ads from converting at the moment. So you'll find out why you're getting clicks and not customers. So look, I've heard this a million times, me and the team across our careers, is the ads are getting clicks, but we're not getting sales. The ads are bringing people to the website, but they're not converting. The ads are bringing in leads, but no one's buying anything. If that sounds familiar to you, if you've said that to a marketing person before, or yourself when you've been doing your own ads, or you've heard that from one of your clients, I hopefully am going to sympathize with you in this episode today and walk you through what's stopping your marketing from converting. And it's probably not your ads, by the way. Spoiler alert. Right, first up, the ads are not the problem most of the time. Okay, they're not. And of course, I'm going to say that I'm a social ads agency manager. But you got to remember this, ads do one thing on social platforms. They get users to click and go to a thing, right? So ads are either going to get users to click through to your website, or they're going to get users to take an action within that ad, whether it's to complete a lead form or send a message or make a call or whatever. And what we can tell within the ad platforms is if that ad has a good click-through rate, like a CTR, you'll hear that kind of phraseology, or not. A click-through rate is the amount of users who've clicked the ad versus the number who've seen the ad. And the better the objective is that you've set for your ad, like purchase is like the best objective you can have if you're like selling products on a website, for example, then we can then tell by looking at the CTR if the ads are strong enough. Now, CTR isn't everything, right? Because you can see the click-through rate, and it's set at a percentage of total impressions. And a good benchmark for us, and still a good benchmark in summer 2025 when I'm recording this, is 1%. We want 1% of total impressions of those ads to be clicked. But the smart cookies amongst us will then go and look at an analytics platform, whether it's Shopify or Google Analytics, G4, sigh. I mean, we kind of have to use it, but we don't want to. And actually look at time spent on site. It's there that we can see whether that traffic is quality or not. The example I've got for you, right, is we're running ads for a long-standing client of ours who are a bike manufacturer. We took over from their previous agency and continued to run traffic ads. Now, the objective had been set at that campaign level to show the ads to users who are most likely to click and go through to a website. Great. You think that is the correct objective. And the click-through rate of those ads was phenomenal. It was between 1% and 2%. And so if you were looking at those ads at kind of surface level, you think, great, they seem to be working. But then once we had a look at the analytics data of how users were behaving when they had clicked on the ad and then gone through to the website, we could actually see that the time on site was very low. Users were literally spending a few seconds on the site and then disappearing. So in that case, the ads weren't working. That's correct. They weren't working. And we could then, as the kind of new agency that had come in, is make that recommendation to run the correct objective. Let's optimize these ads and show them to people likely to purchase, not likely to click and go to a website, because there's multiple objectives that you can choose on meta ads. And this is a common mistake that kind of many advertisers make. So we changed that objective, and guess what? The quality of traffic in terms of time spent on site increased tenfold. Rather than spending 4 seconds on the site, they were spending 40 to 50 seconds on the site. And then we knew, our ads were working correctly. So we needed to go through that kind of process first to know that the click-through rate was reasonable, the cost per click was affordable, the traffic was hitting the page, and the users were staying on the site. If that is all in order, then the ads are working. They're bringing people to the site. So then the question becomes, why is the site not converting those users? Now we'll come back to that, right? But another thing that could be addressed with ads potentially is those ads aren't being shown to the right users. But here's the thing, a lot of advertisers and a lot of managers of ads in 2025 are still working with this mindset of 5 years ago, where you could target users based on interest on the platforms. And you still can, by the way, very much so. But it was just the thing that you ran ads to multiple interest groups, people who like Marks and Spencers, people who ride bikes, people who own BMWs, and you could target all of those users in individual audience ad sets, and then determine the quality of traffic from those different interest groups when you were looking at a website. So if you were targeting your ads at women who were aged over 60, who lived in Scotland, but actually what you wanted was young men under the age of 30 who lived in Brighton, for example, and those people were more likely to buy your product versus the former group that I mentioned, and you send that traffic to your site and it's not converting, then I would get it. But ultimately, one would hope when you're working with your ads manager or you're running ads yourself is that you would have defined that audience correctly in the beginning. So if you are sending traffic to your site and the click-through rate is great and the cost per click is good and the traffic's spending time on site, and they're not buying, have you defined the audience correctly? For sure. But it doesn't work like it did 5 years ago because of Advantage Plus audiences, on Meta in particular. And another great example is the kind of PMax campaign set up on Google. The platforms will decide who to show your ads to, not you. You might think you have a level of control, but you just don't anymore. And you can suggest audiences and suggest segments, but these platforms have far more data on user behavior than you would even know about as a kind of an advertiser. And as a business owner, you've got no time to go in depth and find this stuff out, right? So actually, we're beholden to the platforms to find the right people for us. And it's not going to care whether you put in, I want people who like cats, but not dogs, because it's still going to go and find the users that it thinks will convert on your ads better. That's why we have to train the algorithms with email lists of our customers and make sure it's connected to our websites using the Conversions API or the kind of the pixel. And we need to make sure we build our social platforms organically, ethically, without buying followers, so that we've got, a few groups of users there that we know already engage with our businesses that we can help train the algorithm with. But ultimately, if you're selling a product that most people can buy, the likelihood is that Meta's going to go and find those people before you, and you don't have to define the interest group. So let's assume the audience is okay. Let's assume that the click-through rate and the time spent on site is fine. That's when you've got to ask yourself the cold, hard questions about your side of the deal. Like, what are you selling, right? Is your offer clear? Is it compelling enough? Have you put across the benefits of the products? Is there a clear buying funnel on the website? Is the pricing hidden or not? Delivery charges still are the number one killer, like conversion killers on websites. If you hide that extra additional cost, users are just going to disappear. and not buy because we're so used to free shipping. Thanks, Amazon. You need to make sure your offer's really clear on your website, that there's beautiful product photography, that there's testimonials, case studies, user-generated content of people using the product, that there's a clear call to action. And if you're a lead gen campaign looking to convert, what's going to happen in the kind of the next step of signing up to book a call with you or hear more from you or download your lead magnet? You need to think very clearly about that offer and make sure that that has been reflected in the ads correctly, and more importantly, on your website. It could be a matter of changing the headline on a website once you kind of send users over via ads, or it could be creating a custom landing page where no one can go off and click on other pages, that they're just funneled into doing the thing, whether it's signing up for a lead magnet or kind of buying a product. Landing pages are really important. They're still super important in 2025, and you need to make sure that you give users who are either buying something from you on an e-commerce website or signing up to book a call or hear more from you or whatever, the whole package about you. You've got 1 to 3 seconds to get them to stay, and then not very long after that to kind of convince them to take action. And so it's really tricky, and that is something that is glossed over so much in the ads world, like how to improve like the landing page experience. So if your landing page is slow, if it's built incorrectly, if it's not optimized for mobile, if it's got a cluttered layout, the CTA is nowhere, or you've got, oh my God, this one triggers me, multiple CTAs on one single page, or no social proof, don't be surprised if your user's not going to stay and convert, essentially. So you have to make sure that experience is really good. And if you're collecting leads, you need to make sure that the follow-on experience from collecting those leads is good. You need to send users an email straight away. Connect your ads to your email platform. You can do that, using Zapier or Make or whatever. We even send some client leads straight through to messaging platforms like WhatsApp, so users can get a message straight away once they've signed up. You need to make sure that you follow up with your leads really quickly, because all ads do is get your foot in the door with that user to get their name and email. It doesn't convert them. It doesn't put the offer. That has to be done by some type of nurturing or sales process. And until you get that piece right, you can generate a lot of leads, but not a lot of sales, essentially. Just be mindful as well that if you are generating leads to sell a high ticket offer, and you ask for the sale really early on in the funnel, don't be surprised if a user disappears. You need to warm someone up. You need to show the features, advantages, and benefits. You need to get them on the phone. You need to call them. Please call them. Call your leads. It's my number one peeve. And give yourself time. It takes time to convert someone when you generate leads from ads as well. So expecting the same results that e-commerce has is unrealistic, essentially. You wouldn't ask someone to come and marry you on a first date, right? So why is it that we want to pitch our most expensive things in that kind of first bunch of steps? I just still don't understand. So you need to make sure that the kind of lead generation has a funnel to support it. So what is one thing that you can go away and test right now and tweak and see if it has an impact on your funnel? It could be changing a headline. It could be changing the call to action. It could be updating the email that you send someone. It could be changing the product imagery. It could be adding a testimonial. I challenge you to go away and find one thing that you can change today. But if you change it, make sure you then monitor it for its effectiveness over the next couple of days. And look, I'm going to leave you with this checklist of things to think about, right? Is your offer clear and focused on crystal clear outcomes? Does your landing page that you're sending users to from ads load fast and make sense once it's loaded? Does it build trust with testimonials or social proof, whether that's imagery or videos? If you're doing lead gen, are you following up with those users at least 3 to 5 times, not just once? Because someone might not answer the phone. They might not look at an email, but they might do it the 5th or 6th time that you ask them. And are you making a reasonable ask based on where they are in the funnel? And have you tested anything recently? If any of those are missing, go and fix them all before you spend any more money on your ads. So look, if your marketing is not converting, it's not always the ads, okay? Ads are there to get the foot in the door, to get the click, the visit to the site. But you need to work with your ads manager, if that's yourself, or someone that you've hired to do, whether it's like an agency like us or a freelancer, and partner together to understand where things are leaking in the funnel. Look, if it feels overwhelming, start small. Just test one thing at a time. Easy wins. Go and clean up your mobile view. Go and check that initial email that someone gets when they first sign up for a lead. Those two things, if you're an e-commerce person, the mobile view is a game changer. If you're a lead person, that initial email is everything. And if you found the advice in this episode interesting, come and seek me out. Come and find me on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, and come and DM me and let me know the one thing that you're going to go away and test. And just to be clear, like at our agency, Marketing Made Social, we come back to our clients all the time and think about things that we might have missed. Think about small incremental things that we can change and test every single month. We never get complacent. So if you think things are okay, could they be better right now? Thanks so much for listening. I can't wait to see you in the next episode.